A single hook on a continuous line with double leads catches fish without a sound, the ultimate rig for wild carp fishing. I believe that a single hook on a continuous line with double leads is one of the best rigs for wild carp fishing. It's no exaggeration to call it an ultimate rig. I've recommended it many times in previous articles. If carp are easy to catch in your area, just stick to your original fishing method and no need to change. This article is mainly for those anglers who love carp fishing but always fail to catch any, and who constantly suspect there's an issue with their rig or float adjustment. Go and give it a try. It's best to prepare 2 fishing rods, one with a regular rig, whether it's adjusted to 4 meshes and fished at 2 meshes or using a big running lead, and the other with the single hook on a continuous line rig I mentioned. See which one gives more stable and genuine float signals, and which one catches more fish. We don't boast, let the catch do the talking. Considering that some anglers have just followed me, haven't followed me yet, or just stumbled upon my article by chance, I'll first share how to make this rig and adjust the float, then talk about its pros and cons. The biggest difference between this rig and ordinary ones is that it lacks a swivel and a leader line, but has an extra lead. The initial steps of making the rig are the same. After threading the lead weight, we need to add an extra bobber stop. Normally, there's one bobber stop under the lead weight, so you add one more. If you usually like to put 2 bobber stops under the lead weight, then for the double lead rig, you need to put 3. After threading the bobber stops, there's no need to tie a swivel, just tie the hook directly, and a single hook on a continuous line with double leads rig is completed. Now, let's talk about float adjustment. When you get to the river, first, find the bottom. Hang a large piece of lead skin that's heavy enough to pull the float into the water, then push the float up until it emerges from the water. This way, you'll know the approximate water depth. Suppose the water is about 2 meters deep, we can pull the float towards the hook, even halfway is fine, no need to be very precise. First, adjust to full buoyancy, meaning the entire float tail is exposed above the water. After adjusting, wrap a small piece of lead on the bobber stop above the hook. How big should this lead be? It should be able to press the float down to the water level. It can be a bit heavier, but not too big. When fishing, you can use corn, sweet potato, wheat, or commercial bait. Just push the float until it emerges from the water and you're ready to fish. It doesn't matter if it shows 1 mesh, 2 meshes, or 3 to 4 meshes, the state of the rig underwater is roughly the same, and you no longer have to worry about it being too sensitive or too dull. Now that we've covered rig making and float adjustment, let's talk about the pros and cons, starting with the cons. Once it gets snagged, it's very troublesome. The entire rig is likely to be ruined, and you might even lose the float. If you encounter a big fish that breaks the line, or if the rig is damaged for other reasons, you have to replace the entire rig. 2. You can't switch leader lines or easily change hooks. With a regular rig, some anglers use a thicker main line, say 3 number, and choose the leader line based on the fish situation using 0.6 number or 0.8 number for small fish, and immediately switching to 2 number or 2.5 number when encountering big fish. Let's not debate whether a 3 number leader line is too thick for small fish, but many people do this, and this is an advantage that a continuous line doesn't have. Now, the pros. 1. A single hook on a continuous line has 2 fewer knots, so the overall tensile strength is much higher. 2. With a single hook, there's no problem of leader lines tangling with each other, and there's no situation where after hooking a fish, the other hook gets caught on an obstacle, causing the fish to escape. 3. There's no need to worry about the hook and bait not reaching the bottom or going too deep. Using my method of float adjustment, whether you fish at 1 mesh, 2 meshes, or 5 to 8 meshes, the rig state remains the same. 4. The biggest advantage is that the sensitivity is adjustable. The 4th point needs to be elaborated on, and I'll also answer 2 questions from anglers. What's the distance between the 2 leads, and what's the distance from the hook to the small lead? Generally, the distance between the 2 leads should be 10 to 20 centimeters. A shorter distance makes casting easier and less likely to tangle. But for particularly cunning carp, I suggest pushing the main lead as far up as possible to avoid it dangling in front of the fish. As for the distance from the small lead to the hook, if you want a sensitive setup, the lead can be close to the hook, similar to an upturned hook. If you want a duller setup to filter out false signals, keep a distance. I usually keep 1 to 2 centimeters for crucian carp and about 10 centimeters for carp. If the carp you're targeting are large, not very cunning, or if there's a current, just use 1 lead. You can move the 2 leads together and tuck the small lead into the large one. If you want to use a big running lead, remove the small lead and wrap a large piece of lead skin around the main lead. For normal wild fishing targeting 3 to 5 gin carp, a 2 number continuous line is sufficient, and an 8-10 number Hixie or Uda hook works well. Don't use too small a hook, otherwise, it's easy to lose the fish, especially when using corn. Saying it 100 times is not as good as trying it once. You'll only know if it works after trying it yourself. As mentioned at the beginning of the article, you can definitely get 2 rods and 2 sets of rigs for comparison to see which one has a higher catch rate. Author profile: I'm a self-media blogger who loves fishing and is good at sharing. Follow me, and we'll exchange fishing skills and discuss every bit of angler's wild fishing. Give a like, save, and follow to avoid missing the next update.